I would say the turning point in my life came around when I was 16 or so. It was the first time that I entered a slum, that I actually visited a slum in my country. And as I like to say, or even as Appadurai says, one can live in the same city and live in invisible worlds where people are occupying the same space, but because of the socioeconomic status or because of sociocultural reasons like caste or gender, or live in worlds that do not intersect. So I grew up in a fairly privileged middle income household, and the first time I went into a slum in my city, I was shocked. I came back home and I cried. And I could not understand why is there so much injustice. How come I'm born into a house with a car in the garage, 3 bedrooms, and then just across the street, there are people living on so little. And since then, I started working. I was 16 years old, going studying in a high school. And me and my friends, we started going there weekly and offering some activities, educational activities, or fun and games to the children mostly. And I remember that sometimes it was actually, you're a teenager, the other things that you want to do in life, and sometimes I had to force myself to go there, and it used to be very hot in the summers, and used to cycle there, and the children were often, they were poor, they were dirty, snot running over their faces, you don't know when they had washed. But one time I remember when I forced myself to go there, and this crowd of little children came running to me and hugged me. They were so happy. Oh, our sister has come, our sister has come. And that really melted my heart. So I like to see that as the turning point in my life. Not to have these distinctions, maybe about rich or poor, but realize that we're all human sharing a planet with finite resources. So I guess that was the first step in a long journey trying to marry social justice and environmental justice, which are very often difficult to reconcile, but to see how we can harmoniously try to merge both these needs together. I guess one of the biggest challenges that I faced in my life had to do with the most prevalent social issues in India, which is basically patriarchy and caste and yeah, distrust of conflicting groups, which probably happens worldwide. But just to give you a bit of background, I essentially come from Oroville, and Oroville is an experimental town. It is an international town, but one of our beliefs was that instead of just drawing on the resources of the villages, surrounding villages, and the hinterland to build our city, we should equally give back for their development. So, I had this philosophy of co evolution, as we called it. So, in that context, I used to work for a NGO, an non-governmental organization called Orville Village Action Group, and we used to do women's empowerment and children's education in the surrounding villages of Orville. And once, unfortunately, the villages around Orville got heavily politicized after, sadly, the Panchayati Raj, which Gandhi wanted. It actually divided the villages into political gangs that were constantly warring each other. And to cut a long story short, at one point, some of that hostility for political gains was directed at our organization at Orville Village Action Group. And we had been running this school catering to the poorest of the poor in the villages, just a very small creche and kindergarten to allow working mothers the possibility to work while we took care of their children, young children during the day. And we had set it up where to make sure that we actually caught the poorest beneficiaries. We would ask the parents of the children that were currently enrolled to choose the next set of children. You have to realize that there was already a lot of pressure about this enrollment practices because very often the political leader wanted his friends, family, or his own children to benefit from the system. And we really wanted it for the people to say who should be enrolled in that. So, anyway, at one point, the political leader really turned against us and, in a not, yeah, I guess in an act of violence, basically threatened the teachers, ordered them out of the school, and put a huge lock on the gate. And we tried to negotiate, but we did not get there for a week. And then we had a discussion amongst ourselves and with our beneficiaries. And we really felt like that if the people want the school to run, they have to reclaim it. And we kind of made it clear that this was a statement. And this actually empowered the women of the villages to go and physically break the lock and reclaim the school as their space. And they successfully did that. So it was for me a challenge which turned into a very satisfying story of that yes, empowerment, people's empowerment does work. And with the right tools, with the right training, you can give skills to the people to reclaim the rights for what they need, their own rights. Okay, so my work has centered mostly in South India because Auroville is located in South India in the state of Tamil Nadu. And it has also taken me to the neighboring state, which is a union territory. But it's basically an autonomous state of India called Pondicherry. And there I've worked with the Pondicherry government, first trying to collaborate with them and then actually suing them in the court for improper municipal solid waste management. And yeah, and then from that, the work has steadily grown. I've also worked in Tamil Nadu with the Tamil Nadu government, developing waste management training materials for their government officers, conducting information education and communication campaigns. Also, because waste management is a fairly new field in India, there are not a whole lot of solutions, there's not a whole lot of knowledge, and in the meantime, it's a growing monumental problem. I've collaborated with other good non-profit organizations all over India in having, having think tanks, conferences of how to manage different streams of waste. So, out of all of this, me and a friend of mine, we started a small social enterprise, which we call Earth and Us. It's located in Oroville. And apart from waste management projects, the other big project which we're currently doing is a toilet and sanitation project. And we do this with the help of corporate funds. So, it's a very nice public private sector partnership, and we are basically overseeing and monitoring the building and use of 5,000 toilets in 7 states of India. Another field that I've worked in is which is considered a bit of a taboo subject in India, and it's in the field of menstrual hygiene. And there is a group in Oroville called EcoFem, which makes cloth pads, which is a reusable alternative to the disposable sanitary napkins that women in India currently use. Um, because as we document in one of the movies that I helped with, there are huge social and environmental justices with absorbent hygiene products, and especially when they're flushed down the toilets because it blocks the sewers and creates problems down the line. So with Ecofem, some of the work that I've done is they have a very nice program where for every pad that they sell internationally, they donate a pad to a adolescent girl who can't afford it in India. It's the pad for pad program. Ecofem sells its pads online in 16 countries. And last year, I helped them strategize on how we could reach out to the different states all over India to women who could not afford a cloth pad. A cloth pad is expense has got a high front end expense, which women can't mostly afford, though it pays its cost off in the long run. And there needed to be we had to develop educational materials to tell them why this was better for the health of their own body and for the environment. And also the mindset, the prevalent mindset that we were trying to change was cloth had been, well, I should mention that cloth was what was traditionally used by Indian women, but with modernization, it had got a bad rap, and cloth was considered unhygienic. And our stance was that cloth per se is not unhygienic. The way you use cloth is unhygienic. So we used to give this educational awareness. So that was a very satisfying program where, again, with the help of other corporates who had a social responsibility agenda, we last year we distributed about 1,000 pads per month over a financial year, so 12,000 pads a year. And this year we're targeting to distribute 24,000 pads in 1 year. I think Mundu Sabano is really a fantastic program, and we have to realize that the challenges we're facing as a species, as the human species, they are challenges that affect all of us. Something like climate change, and anything that you can think of, the loss of biodiversity, soil erosion. And so we need to really move out of a parochial mindsets or national mindsets to embrace a global citizenship. So I find it fantastic to be able to come and teach here and have a classroom of students who come from 16 different nationalities. And the challenges and the opportunities that each student mentions in the classroom from their countries really opens and transforms the thinking and mindset of all the other children. So I think, first of all, just that international mix is amazing. That people, students benefit from the program. The second thing I would like to mention as an educator is that we are facing so many urgent challenges in the world today. I feel that we cannot afford to stay in academic ivory towers, conceptualizing problems and finding ultimate solutions. We need to equip our young generations with tools, with knowledge and education so that they can immediately apply to the field. So I'd very much support any educational institute which allows teachers both to teach and gives them time to do social development projects or other projects that they like.